We know that our brain is a pharmaceutical factory.
Yeah.
Our brain dispenses chemicals. There's actually about 100 different chemicals that are released from our brain via a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus releases these chemicals and we feel good. So when we move our body and we get energized and get excited, chemical reactions happen. So movement, motion creates emotion. So think about that. Motion creates emotion. And so whenever we're moving our body, we're actually creating different feelings in our body because of these chemical reactions that are happening. And so that's why people go and do exercise and they get addicted to it. Because it's the chemical reactions that they're having in their brain that make them addicted to working out. Because I like the science. I actually like going in deep and finding out, well, how does the brain work and why does it function the way it does? And how can we get the most out of it? And so I've also looked at the quickest ways to get change. Who's interested in fast ways to change? What qualifies me to teach? What qualifies me to do this? And I want you to know that for me, if I just go back a few years to 2015, there were some pretty major issues that I went through. There was a loss and separation from my 3 children. So I have 5 children. These are this is one of my younger ones, Joseph. Jake has just left. But I have Jessica, Leah and William. They're my older 3 children. And in 2014, at the end of that year, they decided to go live with their mother. They never told me this plan though. So I sent them to their mother's house for a changeover visitation at the beginning of a school holidays, and they never came back. And this sent me into a tailspin, and it was probably the most pain that I've ever experienced in my life. Now, we all know physical pain is bad. It's got nothing on emotional pain. Emotional pain is the worst type of pain. And so in going through that pain, I looked for ways to ease the pain, to ease the burden. I had discussions with my wife, I had discussions with family and friends, and I looked for ways to ease this pain. And they all told me the same thing: I've just got to wait. It's just going to take time and you'll get over it. I wasn't satisfied with that. And see, in 2015, I was actually gifted a ticket to go to Sydney for a seminar. And during that period of time, I went to seminar and I learned some really good skills about life and about motivation and about happiness, and that it's a state of mind and that we can use our body in a certain way. We can thereby create different feelings which lead to different emotions, which lead to different thoughts, and our different thoughts can create new actions, and our different actions create new habits, and suddenly our life will look completely different. And so I started using all these techniques, and then I went to another seminar in 2016. And at this seminar, the main thing that I picked up from it was the healing process. And it's something I spoke of the other night, but the healing process has 4 steps. And really, we're getting to what qualifies me to be able to share these ideas, is because I'm somebody who, when I go to a seminar and I learn something, I don't just say, that was a nice seminar, and go home and do nothing. I would actually come home and I would strive to remember everything that I'd learned, and not only remember it, but put it into practice. Actually do what they were asking me to do. Because I figured, knowledge is not about information. It's about application. It's not about the data. We can get data from everywhere. We can watch a YouTube video, we're getting information. We can go see somebody talk on any topic, and we can learn information. But that's not going to change your life. What's going to change your life is turning that information into knowledge. And the way that we do that is through the application of information. That makes sense, doesn't it? If I go see somebody doing push-ups and I watch him and he does 10 push-ups, I go, wow, that's a good thing to do, 10 push-ups. But if I don't get down and do the 10 push-ups, I don't get any benefit. I'm watching him do the push-ups and going, exercise is great. I can see him sweating. Wonderful for your body, great for your health. And then I'll carry on with my life and nothing changes. But it's not until you get down in the trenches, it's not until you start doing the work, then life begins to change. Things begin to happen. So I was doing the work. This first seminar got me thinking, I've got to do more. And so I started doing work. I started waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and doing a 2-hour morning routine that included exercise and breathing and posture and a jump in the cold freezing pool and all these different things that I started doing. Meditation, excitement, energy, speaking to the trees. I go out there. Yeah, like you may think that this is the first time I've done this seminar. This is the first time I've actually run this seminar with a live audience. But I've given this seminar many times to the trees and the bushes. You see, I go down the park in the morning. It's funny, isn't it? It's a bit strange. But I go down there and they like me being there, I'm pretty sure. Energise the whole park. Anyway, I'm doing it one day. I'm getting so excited. And some woman comes out, because Azzy, my dog, was there with me. And Azzy's running around. She gets excited when I get excited. So we feed off each other's energy. When I'm a bit flat, she picks me up. And actually, she picks me up most of the time. Dogs have an amazing ability to get excited. Very, very simple for them. Adults, we lose that ability. Children, easy to get excited.
Yes. Yeah.
As we get older, we actually don't progress in everything. In some things we regress, we actually go backwards. So I'm over in the park, I'm getting excited, as he's getting excited, and some lady comes over and shouts out, "Stop abusing that poor dog!" She actually thought that I was shouting at Azzy, and Azzy was just excited. And I was just doing what's called incantations, which was another part of my morning routine. So I've done all this work, then I've gone to another seminar in 2016 because the pain was still there. I was doing all this work, and this pain was still there. Who's done work and the pain's still there? Whether it's physical or emotional, you've done work and you feel shifts, you feel changes, but the pain's still there. Well, that's what happened to me. The pain was still there. And I remember going to this seminar and I was taught that the healing process had 4 steps. The first one was to recognise. So the first thing you need to do with health is take a good appraisal of where you are. Recognise exactly where you are in the here and now. What has brought you here to this point right now? And what I want is honest. I don't want negative or positive. This is not negative thinking when we do this. It's just recognition. Because the second step is stop picking at it. Now this is critical. Stop picking at it. You see, when we've got a wound, let's say a physical wound, and you keep scratching it, keep picking at it, keep opening it up, it never heals. It just keeps festering, it gets worse and worse. It just keeps opening up. And sometimes we keep doing the same thing repetitiously over and over again. And if that thing is not helping us, it keeps opening up that old wound. And we just keep reliving the past. Like some people say, I've had 20 years experience at a job. Let's say real estate. I've had 20 years experience. Well, no, you haven't. You got 1 year experience and you repeated that 20 times. Because what happens is we go back to what's familiar. And what's familiar in the past is picking at it. We go back and we open it up again. Oh, my life's not working because of this situation. My life's not working because somebody said something or did something to me. My life's not working because of whatever it is. ... Choose the reason. And while we're looking backwards, there's no moving forward. There's no moving forward authentically towards a new self. Because it's like driving in your car looking in the rear vision mirror. We're actually looking behind ourselves but trying to go forward. And yet our focus, our vision is on the past. And we keep picking at it, we keep opening it up, and in that space there is no healing. There's no healing. There's no resolving this. And so if you feel like your wheels are spinning with health, and you're not actually moving, and you've been on this journey for a while, the wheels are spinning, it could be that you're stuck here, that you keep picking at it. So I'm going to put this up on the board, reasons and excuses. That's what picking at it is. Is finding a reason or excuse why you can't do it. Finding a reason or excuse why it's not going to work for you. Finding a reason or excuse as to why you can't move ahead in this area of your life. And those that look for it will find it. The next step is a critical one, and that is forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is not simply forgiving somebody else, although that is part of it. But forgiveness is also forgiving yourself for the way you've acted, the way you've reacted, what you've done as a result, the way you've been up until now. You forgive yourself. You allow yourself to say, okay, now that I've recognised it, and you know what, I've made a commitment to stop picking at it. You see, I don't want to replay the past. I don't want my reasons or excuses to dictate who I am in the future. Rather, I want results. And so once you make that decision to get rid of these things and replace them with results, that's when we truly move. That's when we move from step 2 to step 3 towards forgiveness. We decide that's it, no more. Not another minute, not another moment, not another day, never again. And we dig our heels in and say, I'm making no more excuses, no more reasons. I'm going to get results. This is going to be a must in my life. And it's got to be that level of determination where it's going to be a must, this or nothing. This or nothing. It's a must. It's like breathing. If you made that thing that you want as important as breathing, wouldn't you do it? It's as important as breathing. It's as important as anything in your life. All right. So then we go to forgiveness. So, how do we do this? See, this is a tough one. How do we forgive ourselves? How do we forgive others? How do we forgive God? How do we forgive the situation? You know, what if it was nobody's fault? If it just happened? There was an accident involved. How do we forgive that? How do we just look past all that and just say, I'm going to let all that go? It's a difficult thing. Now, the way I did it was forgiveness was, it actually took quite a lot of time to get through the forgiveness one. So, because I had to think about, well, who am I forgiving? One, I'm forgiving myself for any wrongs that I did as a parent. I've got to forgive myself for the way I've treated my children, perhaps. Sometimes I ignored them and played computer games because I was addicted to computer games back then. And I did. I'd ignore my children. They'd come up and want something and I'd be busy doing a computer game. Then I had to forgive my ex-wife. I had to look at the situation and what had happened there. And here I am, I've lost contact with my children, complete contact. And not only that, there was some very nasty and bad things said about me, said about Rebecca, and it was quite hurtful. There was a lot of hurtful things done and said. I had to forgive all that. And then I had to forgive the children for leaving and telling her mum all the things that they told her. I had to forgive them for all that. So there's a lot of forgiveness that we have to do. And one of the ways that I did that, this forgiveness, was through white light. You see, in my morning routine, what I do is I'll fill myself with white light. I'll imagine white light coming from God, and I'll bring it through into my body, and then I'll push it from the top of my head down to my feet. I was then sending it to, I always start with my wife first. I send it to my wife first, and then to my children that are living with me, and then I send it to my other children, and then I send it to my ex-wife and my ex-mother-in-law and those things. And so that was all forgiveness. That was a mental process. And I did this every day for, I was probably 12 months, close to 12 months. I was doing it every day, maybe 8 months, every day. And I felt like I got to a place where I could forgive. That was a long time. So I'm probably spending 5 to 10 minutes every morning in my meditation, filling myself up with white light, pushing it into the earth and sending it to Rebecca and the boys, and then to my children, and then to my ex-wife, sending it to her and smiling while I was doing it. Even though inwardly I was angry. I was so angry. I was feeling the anger, but I was pushing white light in there and saying, no, white light, forgiveness, white light, forgiveness. Now, after learning this process, there was one day where it all clicked and the change happened. I went out into the woods and the pain was still there. The pain was still in my heart and it was raw. And I remember going into the woods and I just let it out. I just screamed, I yelled, I didn't care who was listening, I didn't care who thought I was attacking my dog. I just let it all out. And in doing so, something happened, something clicked in that moment. It's as if I'd done enough work. It's as if I'd spent enough effort doing that morning routine where finally it was enough and suddenly it was gone. It was gone. And I could be completely grateful. And so now when I look back on the situation, and people think that I'm a bit strange like this, because I tell them that some horrible things happened. I lost my children. My ex-wife said some nasty things about me. It was horrible. I had to go to court. It was a traumatic experience. It was very tough on the family. It was tough on our marriage. It was tough on our relationship. It was tough on the boys. I look back on this with gratitude. And I explain that to people and they say, how? How can you be grateful? Because it's because I've gone through this healing process. And so when I went through that healing process, suddenly I knew that it all made sense. Everything can. And now I can apply this to any area of my life, and I know it works. I know it works because I've done it. And isn't it true that when you've done something, you can then teach others how to do it?
Yeah.
When you've done something, you can show somebody else what to do. I was training people for a long time when I was working at the service station. And the boss would hand me new people and say, train them up. And I would teach them the ropes. Because I knew what to do. When it comes to healing, I'm your guy. I've done this. I've been through this process. I've been through it in my own life. And not only that, while I was going through the process, I delved into it. Really delved into the mindset, how the mind works, how chemicals work, and why this process works. And what I came up with was this, is that one with a grateful heart will enjoy the journey, not just the end result. You know, sometimes we see a goal out there in the future and we're thinking, it's going to be great when? You know, when I finally get that goal, when I'm finally free of pain, when I'm finally, meet the right person, when I finally have everything come together, then it's going to be great. But I say that one with a grateful heart will enjoy the journey, not just that end result. You'll enjoy every day between now and then if and only if you've got a grateful heart. And so what I found out was to shortcut this whole process, to shortcut it, to take it from 10 years and turn it into 1 year or 6 months. You can do this fast if you decide. 3 months. Let's go back and answer the question. So the question was, how do you forgive yourself when there's an addiction there and it's powerful and you feel like you can't forgive yourself? Is that the question?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is let's go back and start looking again at step 2. The reason you can't forgive yourself is you keep replaying the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're still at step 2. We're not at step 3 yet. We've got to go back and do. So we can't go step 1, step 3. It's too big a jump. It's too big a leap. So we've got to go step 1, step 2. Step 2 is stop picking at it. So the reason you can't forgive yourself is that you're replaying the past. You're finding all the reasons why your life isn't working and all the reasons why you had to use that as an option and all the excuses. Yeah. And so what happens is when you replay those things, you get anything but results. Now, the only way to change that around is to stop picking at it. And the way we do that is we say, okay, the past is the past and I accept the past the way it is, but I don't need to replay it. I don't need to keep going back there and rerunning the scripts, rerunning the movies, so to speak.